Hey everyone, I'm Stefan. I work for some company in Quebec called Linux, and I'm one of the guys involved in Ubuntu. So, this session is about explaining exactly why we're actually making an Ubuntu, and then what we did recently, and what we plan on doing for Nati and for the releases to come. So, first thing is, why are we actually making an Ubuntu? First thing that we noticed is that schools tend to like having turnkey solutions they can just install on computers that provide everything they need. That also means that as we are a DVD, we contain all the link packs that exist in the archive. So you don't need any kind of internet access in any country to install a Ubuntu. Everything is on the DVD, and when it's installed, it's supposed to work. Also, the Ubuntu team is taking care of maintaining some of the educational packages that we have in the archive. Some stuff are maintained by other teams, like all the KD Edu packages are maintained by the Ubuntu team, I guess. But some others, like iTalk and other classroom management softwares, are maintained by the Ubuntu team. Another question that we get quite often is, why are we a DVD? Well, obviously we can't put the Ubuntu desktop plus some other educational packages and link packs on a CD, because we already have an issue putting Ubuntu desktop on the CD. So we are a DVD. Another option that we actually tried at some point was making an add-on CD, so you can install on top of Ubuntu. That didn't turn out doing so well, because people wouldn't really download both of them. It was confusing to the point that DistroWatch actually removed the distribution altogether. And yeah, so we got a lot of pressure and went back with 9.10 to actually being a DVD. So we are an actual full distro, even though we ship with an Ubuntu desktop. Quite similar to Ubuntu in a lot of ways, except that we showed all the educational packages that we believe are useful for mostly primary and secondary schools. So 10.10, actually, we didn't include that many more applications in it. What we included is a tool called Plenary, which is used to restrict users to a schedule to use the computer, and restrict internet access to some other stuff. So that's quite useful for like home usage of the distribution. What we are so focused on is making our install process easier. In 10.04, we used to have the usual install process, so we just installed just like Ubuntu desktop. Then we had two launchers on the desktop to install Unity, which was a netbook interface by then, and TSP. But you actually had to know that these two icons are going to be created on the desktop in the live environment, and a lot of people actually need that. So what we did for 10.10 is we actually added an extra step in the installer, which is this one. And you can just take around Unity, and you're going to get the Unity desktop definitely installed. Same thing for TSP. You can just take that you want the TSP, choose which network card is going to be used for compliance to boot, and that's it. After install, it's going to work. During 10.10, we also focused a lot on improving our community. So we made our new website. We tried making it more social, so we got feedback from our users that we didn't really get that much before. And we also worked a bit on artwork, so added more wallpapers to the install, changed the font to the Ubuntu font, changed some small details in the actual install. That was mostly for 10.10. We planned actually a lot more, so we wanted initially to have like Sugar and Chemo directly in the distro, except that the packaging for these two aren't we could include them in the installer at this point. So from that hour, what we are planning on doing is, well, ideally get Chemo, get Sugar, and get a whole lot of other applications that we've received on mailing lists. Review all of these and have them part of Ubuntu. We also want to change installer slightly so that you can actually opt out of some software that you might not want to have installed. Also, something that we want to improve is our installation time, which is currently something like 14 minutes. There's a bit of improvement we can make there, and that's one of our big plans for Ubuntu 4. Other than that, well, mostly continuing with the community to get more people involved. Ideally, get more contributors as well, because currently for 10.10, we're basically two, Jonathan and I, doing all the work. Well, Jonathan, unfortunately, was supposed to be here, but is stuck on visa issue with the US, so he didn't get back. So for 11.04, we have a few sessions planned this week that I'll just show you that later on the schedule. Something that some of you might have noticed is we introduced, like, a little bit more than a week, something called Try It Now. So that's Ubuntu Web Live on our website, which I'm just going to demo quickly. So if you go on the Ubuntu website, you have this option on the left side of, here, to try a Ubuntu. And starting, well, today, you can easily test the stable release or the development release. Basically what it means is if I'm here and I just create an account, I'm going to get the head setting so that it works on Windows, Mac OS, ColorOS, and Linux. It will start an X client, and start the connection from here, and wait a second. And get the desktop started directly from the server somewhere in Germany. This is running Netina World updated last hour, and the actual image gets revealed once a day, and we upgrade them quite often. So since we started it last week with only the stable release, we got something close to 4,000 people actually tested the Ubuntu through that process. It also makes it a lot easier if you want to do like trying to replicate bugs, for example. It's easier because that's perfectly clean desktop install. It gets rebuilt, it's completely scripted, no human intervention whatsoever on that. And now that we have 11.04, it's going to be easy for our users to actually watch the development process. The other main reason we actually made that is that Ubuntu is a DVD. So having someone download the live image of 2.2 gigs doesn't work so well. So that way they can just, from school or wherever, just plug in and try it. So, sessions now. At UDS, we have quite a few sessions related to education and Ubuntu. First one that we have today is going to a session about ubiquity and how we can make the install process for Ubuntu better and faster. Next other session is tomorrow morning about the Ubuntu community, where we can get more developers involved. What should we do like on our websites to attract users, get feedback, get user stories, and just develop the community. We have software selections for session, so that's basically reviewing all the applications that we got on our list after the call we made on the mailing list, and see which one should make it in Ubuntu, which one should be in which meta package that we have. So if that's more like for primary school, secondary school, or just get the list of applications we want for 11.04. Another session is about school server in a box. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to discuss there because it was registered by Melissa Lopez, who, as far as I know, is not at UDS. So we're going probably to discuss what we can do for the Ubuntu server. So that's probably going to talk about Moodle, other web applications that are like school tools and use. And the last session for related to education is the chemo session on Friday. So we have the chemo guys in the room and at UDS, and we'll be able to discuss exactly what are their plans for chemo, and also how we can work together to get that as an option in the Ubuntu install. Just before taking questions, we have also a session tomorrow afternoon at 3 about desktop in the cloud, where I'll be available if someone has a question on how we actually made the Ubuntu right now. Code for everything is probably going to be published somewhere next week. Questions?
So I'm pretty curious about the status of sugar as well. It seems like a different approach and how it fits into Ubuntu. If there's like a demand for it, or if it's just, oh, it's another education project for more people too.
We're able to get some demand for it from some schools, and I guess mostly from the US. What we would really do if we actually have a stable and complete sugar in Ubuntu, which I'm not exactly sure we do currently, is have it as an option installer. So that's like, do you want your whole experience to be sugar? And if you take that, you're probably not even going to have the other applications, because, well, sugar is sugar, you're going to start full screen with all the sugar activities.
I think it is entirely in Ubuntu now. It used to be maintained in a PPA, but they got sugar 0.88 uploaded into Universe right before we agreed.
Cool, because I remember at some point them having issues, I guess, in Debian for some licensing issues. So but if it's fixed, then we can probably look at including that.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. Next up, we're going to have Ted Gould from App Indicator Ayatana fame talk about the workflow that the Ayatana team, DX team used launch out in distributed development. He also worked on this thing called Inkscape. I've never heard of it. Why aren't you guys clapping for Ted?
Problem exists with users. So, my name is Ted Gould. I'm on the Canonical DX team, and I want to talk a little bit today about Ubuntu distributed development. Some of you may be aware that our main target for distribution of our software downstream is Ubuntu. So we try to embrace distributed development in our software process to make it easy for packagers and people who want to take our software and put it into Ubuntu. When you think about version control, this is typically the diagram that you see. You think, hey, there's a trunk, we do a couple branches off, and then we integrate them back in. What ends up happening is that the trunk becomes a reference version for the particular project. And distributed development changes that a little bit. Because what it effectively creates, and this is what most people have seen with the auto importer, is that there's two live branches. One is the upstream tarballs that get imported, and they go along the top here, and then the packaging gets added and goes along the bottom. So there's effectively two live branches when these projects. And what really, I think long-term, how we want to see Ubuntu distributed development is that it actually gets tied into trunk. And so as far as the developers are concerned, there's one branch that is their live branch. Then this is what happens after you run auto tools and packaging and testing. And then you add the packaging, and this is what Ubuntu gets at the end of the day. And so what we end up with is actually a multitude of live branches, which isn't really standard for how people think about version control. And so you have to change a few of your attitudes on version control and realize that we're going to have 3 branches that exist all the time and are maintained as we continue to do this. What this does, though, and as we look at this diagram, is we create a nice relationship between upstream, as we move down, go downstream, and we've got old and new. So this is kind of a little bit simple way to look at the diagram. We've got upstream of the project, it merges down, and everything goes back. And we've changed that a little bit, and I'll get to that eventually. But first, I just wanted to talk about what we add in the middle. And so what we do is we have our own packaging branch. So we have packaging that we maintain and we work with on a daily basis before it gets into Ubuntu. And this may seem a little bit counterintuitive because not a lot of upstreams work with that directly. But this is what we use for our daily builds, and for installing on our own machines. So what's special here is this version in the middle. And I want to talk about that version a little bit, because what can we do with that version? And what we can do with that version is we can add new dependencies. For instance, we were talking today about date time support and adding geoclue. Well, when I add that geoclue support into indicator date time, I can then add it to my packaging branch and create a package that has that geoclue support in it. But the distro isn't going to take it until we actually do a release and we have some QA and we do some testing. And so they don't have to have it on their branch. We just have it in this little branch here for us to be able to create our dailies, be able to share amongst ourselves, and be able to install on our own machines, which is really, really important. And it increases our process. But we really could think about this like, well, why don't I just branch off the Ubuntu branch? It's bizarre, it'll figure everything out, right? Well, what's actually also important is the packaging branch in itself. And so we keep on this branch actually changes that don't flow into Ubuntu. Well, what would you want that doesn't flow into Ubuntu? Custom debugging options. Things like the US menu packaging actually has a flag for increasing the amount of debug output that goes out. And so I can create a package that increases the amount of debugging output for us and can report those bugs that doesn't really make sense for the average user of the distro. We can also do things like have additional build options. We want to test with O3 and see if that affects how the compiler works. We can do that in our packaging branch. Also, we can run make check. And make check is a mixed bag. I think a lot of people who have experienced it know that because it will fail on certain architectures or it will stop a package upload at critical times. So it doesn't necessarily go in all packages. But we can do that in our packaging branch very easily because it's just an upstream packaging branch. We're not affecting millions of users. We're just affecting the developers on our team. But it's very tight-knit collaboration. So when I talked a little bit about the downstream flow, and in effect to us because our main target is Ubuntu, Debian is another downstream. And so we worked with the Debian packagers and we created a Debian branch for packaging. There's a packaging iatonic group in Debian, and they're taking and branching the Ubuntu one and actually Debianizing it. They're fixing the packaging, making it up to Debian standards and putting it in Debian and changing it for how they like it. And so what we can do now is we have all these branches tied together is we can take that back and pull all the goodness that's created. What the Ubuntu packagers do, because my packaging is not very good, the Ubuntu makes it better, and Debian will make it better in a different way, and we can pull all of that in, and we can all share that information very easily by merging all these branches into a common repository. So, I thought there was going to be an armcraft, so I was trying to be short. This is all I've got to say. Link to upstream. We want to link to trunk. We want to be able to do upstream packaging. When we do upstream packaging, for the benefits that it provides us, creating easy packages that can connect in easily to our tools and our own machines. We do lots and lots and lots of merging, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Scott.
Here. Yes.
I heard that. So the question that I have as an upstream is, does BZR import work satisfactorily now for all these version control systems that we have? It seems like the obvious way to do this is through BZR and Launchpad. It's a lot easier if I can create a BZR patch in Launchpad and then have that patch actually work against the version control system.
Yeah, so that doesn't, our workflow we use Bazaar all the way through, so that doesn't actually affect the way we do things. But I made packages using Git imports, for instance, in Bazaar. I imagine the SVU and stuff are the same. You just want your trunk branch to be a Bazaar branch, so then you can add the packaging stuff on top of it. One of the things that I found on the imports is I don't think it imports all the tags all the time. And so if you didn't know the revision number, you can't use a tag.
But other than that,
Yeah,
good. All right.
there's no reason it shouldn't be either.
Who else?
Soren.
Do you interact at all with the imported, when you do an upload to Ubuntu, you end up with these imported branches thing from James's thing. Do you deal with those at all, or?
We don't. I believe that you can turn those off as well. You can say this is the branch, don't import onto it. So once you've got the merge upstream flow and you've got the upstream tarballs, you can say this branch is the important one. I believe that takes a launchpad admin though, last time I checked. I don't know if someone could confirm or deny that, to be able to do that change over.
I just wanted to put a plug in for anybody who wants to learn more about this stuff. There's a mailing list. There's a project on Launchpad. There's a wiki page. Go to wikiubuntu.com/distributed development. Should have sort of a good introductory information about it. We're starting to build out how-tos to do certain tasks, and there are bi-weekly meetings which are open to everybody, and we have a couple of stakeholders from Platform and Launchpad and a couple other people who are sort of blameable for certain things or on the hook. But the meetings are open to everybody. They're on IRC, so please, if you're interested, please come and participate and help. We're especially interested in bugs that people hit because we want to try to start making this really, really smooth for people and a really awesome way to do package development. So,
Thank you.
As I was saying, last time I was here, I gave a talk on V7 architecture that had rather lots of technical content. So I thought this time I would take the easy way out and not have any technical content. The other thing is, the slot after mine, we're going to have Roger Teague-Vaughan talk a little bit about the way that silicon is created, the way that architecture is created, and some of the issues. Unfortunately, for various reasons, Roger can't be here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give my little pitch, and then I'm going to invite Kiko up, and we're going to take questions from you. Obviously, if there are no questions, we can all get coffee sooner. So it's a little bit of a marketing thing. There's no ice cream, no flyers. So as I was saying yesterday when Mark very kindly introduced me, I wanted to thank you all. By all, these are pictures from the Lenaro website. So these are all the engineers, and I put them in this random sort of generator. I kept pressing the button, and Alexander always came in every picture I tried. So despite that, I left that. And but what I wanted to say was, in a very short time, we, by which I mean other people mostly, have built an engineering team from scratch, and that's an awesome thing. Code has been upstream into, mostly into tool chain, a little bit into kernel consolidation, some consolidation around power management. Distributions are taking interest. Principally, I mean, Ubuntu were the first to the tool chain, but others are looking at it and actively playing with it, so I think that's pretty good. And back in May, Kiko said he still loved ARM. And I asked Kiko this question, do you still love ARM? He said, yeah. So we've achieved a lot in this time. So we've done all this, put a team together, and Kiko still loves ARM. So that's good. My themes, I've got two very simple themes for all of this. First one is collaboration, right? And there's two levels of collaboration going on here. One, and I think we said back in May, the ARM silicon guys, the ARM distribution guys, they need to understand how to work with the open source community, how to collaborate with them. They also need to work out how to collaborate together. So Lenaro is a place where there's a lot of collaboration happening. There's two parts to this. There's part of Lenaro is called the Technical Steering Committee or Council, Microsoft Council, which is the various member companies, TI, Samsung, ARM, Apple, get together and STRs, sorry, just remember all names, and pull together what they actually want to happen in this cycle. So there's been a lot of very good technical collaboration, working with the working groups about what can be done. And the output of that is here, in that all the technical sessions that are anything to do with Lenaro came out of some Lenaro partners thinking that, hey, this is a good problem to go and solve. Let's go make Qt better, let's go do this. The other collaboration is actually in the working group. So you've got engineers there who are all over the world from 6 different countries, 6 different companies, I think it's like 20 countries and 14 languages. It's just very distributed. And they're all working together on problems that are interesting to all of us, and interesting actually to the embedded Linux community, not just the ARM embedded Linux community. So, huge collaboration going on. And they're building great relationships with the rest of the open source community, of which you guys are part, an important part. And it's one of the master strokes, I think, when we started this, we said that everything's going to be open. So it's all there, it's on the website, it's on the wiki, all of the conversations, like the conversations here, are done in the open. They're freely available, we're not doing secret specs. It's not a standard industry consortium where men in suits have coffee in Hawaii and no one tells you what's going on. This is completely open. And that was, for me, to a degree, even though I'm an open source dude, I'm an open source dude, a little shocking, a little terrifying, but it has been a master stroke. And it's really helping the ARM community evolve here with respect to being able to work with the open source. So you can see that as well. Collaboration is really a key part of this. So this is for Kiko again, because Kiko doesn't eat things that have hooves. This is, I tried to have a picture that shows diversity, lots of good vegetables. Kiko again in May said, ARM and Linux and the open source futures are linked. The two futures are linked together. That was very perceptive of Kiko. He's obviously having a good day. Open source is very diverse. It's a very diverse community. There's often several ways of doing the same thing. That's fine, that's Darwinian, that's okay. I don't mind the fact, I like the fact that there's KDE, you know, these other things still hang around. The window managers I used in 1980, whatever, is still there. I can choose to use them again. And it's a worldwide, it's very diverse from a human community point of view. All drawn together by a basic belief in open source and the power of collaboration. The ARM ecosystem is also incredibly diverse. The ARM companies do not believe in a single one platform to bind them all. They do not believe that there's only one way to do graphics acceleration. Great amount of diversity. So the real huge challenge that we have inside that is how to build support that is uniformly good across many, many diverse countries. And that's why in the working group you see a lot of, some of the early collaboration is about really consolidating that sort of support. But now we're moving into a phase where actually we're moving beyond that basic of fixing things and making things go faster towards a, hang on a minute, we've got to deal with the fact that there's a very diverse set of ways of solving this problem in a product around power management, battery life, you know, your set-top box and your mobile phone are different. So we're starting to move to a place where we're trying to figure out what the best subsystems are around this. And the other, I guess, a slight warning really about diversity and Darwinianism is if you don't succeed, you become extinct. It's a good way of nature telling you got it wrong. So I think there's a huge challenge for the ARM community to put these products together. But I also think underlying that as well, the open source communities have a huge challenge in their stuff getting into really desirable products that people want to spend money on. I know we all believe in open source, but we all like our mortgages being paid. And I want to buy lots of these different products. I want to see this technology in it. And there's two ways that companies can deal with open source. Some can do this rather, they take they do lumpy development and they throw it back to the open source community who roll back and borrow. A better model, I think, is this one where there's much more collaboration, much more joined together, and I think that's the longer term sustainable one. But within that, the real challenge is how to pull all these bits together and make it all work really, really well. That's my pitch. So can I invite Kiko up? We can ask this question, like what are those vegetables? Cucumbers, beans, yeah. So basically we're open to any questions on, Kiko will have to get closer to me to answer.
So we had a bunch of sessions here this week, and if you look through the schedule, there's tons of things which are unrelated and Plenary sponsored. One of the opening questions that I wanted to put out is, are there things which we're not thinking about, or things which you care about which we're not talking about at all? Or are you overwhelmed by the amount of questions, by the amount of sessions that are there already? We covered everything.
Can't hear you.
What's that?
Talking to the mic, Lord. Microphone.
Yeah, guys, we get to that one.
No, thanks very much.
Are you overwhelmed with that? Are you happy with the sessions you've been to? The stuff we should be talking about that we're not talking about? Problems that we should really be addressing ourselves? No, oh good. Well, no questions.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, are there any other questions?
Awesome, great, cool.
All right.
So we have 15 minutes. Thank you. For Friday, we have lightning talk, so come up, show us something that's awesome. If it doesn't work, even better.